Welcome back. What if one ordinary-looking presidential dollar has been hiding remarkable stories in plain sight? Today, we're taking a closer look at the Ulysses S. Grant presidential dollar to uncover the subtle details, fascinating history, and collector secrets that most people never notice. And by the end, you'll understand why a handful of authenticated examples have earned special attention in the numismatic world. First coin. The 2007 James Madison presidential dollar is one of those modern American coins that quietly slips through circulation without attracting much attention. Yet beneath its golden appearance lies a fascinating story that continues to intrigue collectors years after it was released. At first glance, it may seem like just another dollar coin, but closer inspection reveals a carefully planned tribute to one of the most influential architects of the United States Constitution and the fourth President of the United States. Hidden within its production history are subtle differences in quality, striking characteristics, and preservation that separate ordinary examples from those sought after by serious numismatists. As this story unfolds, you'll discover why certified examples have realized dramatically different prices in the collector market, what authenticated pieces have actually sold for, and which specific characteristics experts examine before assigning a premium value. The journey begins not with a price tag, but with the remarkable purpose behind the coin's creation, and the many factors that determine whether one specimen is simply a circulating dollar or a truly collectible piece of American numismatic history. The James Madison presidential dollar was released in 2007 as part of the presidential $1 coin program authorized by Congress to honor deceased presidents in the order they served. James Madison, often remembered as the father of the Constitution, played an essential role in shaping the foundation of the United States through his work at the Constitutional Convention and his advocacy for the Bill of Rights. His presidency, which lasted from 1809 to 1817, included defining events such as the War of 1812, a conflict that tested the resilience of the young nation. By featuring Madison on the nation's circulating dollar coin, the United States Mint sought to combine education with everyday commerce, encouraging Americans to reconnect with the individuals whose leadership shaped the country's earliest decades. Philadelphia Mint struck the coins bearing the P Mint mark, producing hundreds of millions of examples intended for widespread circulation. Although the program enjoyed an ambitious launch, changing consumer habits meant that many presidential dollars never circulated extensively, leaving substantial quantities stored in government vaults and unopened mint packaging. This unusual circulation history would later influence collector demand and long-term availability in surprising ways. Physically, the 2007 James Madison dollar was engineered to resemble the color of traditional gold coins without containing any precious metal. The coin is composed of manganese brass over pure copper core, creating its distinctive golden hue while maintaining durability for circulation. Each piece weighs approximately 8.1 grams, measures 26.5 millimeters in diameter, and features a smooth edge that receives lettering after the coin is struck. This edge lettering includes the year of issue, the mint mark, and the mottos E pluribus unum and In God We Trust, a feature that distinguished the presidential dollar series from most previous American coinage. The obverse portrait of James Madison was designed by Joel Iskowitz and sculpted by Don Everhart, presenting a dignified profile that reflects classical American medallic art. The reverse, common to every coin in the presidential dollar series, depicts the Statue of Liberty extending the torch of freedom, reinforcing the idea that while presidents changed throughout history, the nation's enduring ideals remained constant. Collectors often pay close attention to the quality of both the portrait and the edge lettering because weak impressions, striking inconsistencies, or unusual production anomalies can significantly influence desirability. The production process behind this coin introduced characteristics that continue to fascinate specialists. After the coin blank received its initial strike, it passed through a separate machine responsible for impressing the edge lettering. Because this operation occurred independently, a variety of striking mishaps occasionally emerged, including missing edge inscriptions, doubled edge lettering, partial lettering, and rotated edge orientations. Among presidential dollars, missing edge lettering became one of the most widely recognized mint errors, earning the popular nickname "godless dollars" when the inscriptions failed to appear. While many examples initially generated enormous excitement in the marketplace, later discoveries showed that some errors were more plentiful than originally believed. Nevertheless, authenticated missing edge lettering James Madison dollars remain desirable when verified by respected grading services. Other collectible varieties include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, multiple strikes, and dramatic die errors, though these are considerably scarcer than ordinary circulation pieces. Because counterfeit alterations have occasionally appeared in the marketplace, collectors are advised to rely on professional authentication whenever an unusual example is presented as a valuable error coin. Although the Philadelphia Mint produced a mintage exceeding 84 million James Madison dollars, raw production numbers tell only part of the story. Modern collectors understand that rarity is often determined less by mintage and more by surviving condition. The majority of circulated coins display contact marks, abrasions, dull surfaces, and weakened luster caused by storage, transportation, or commercial handling. Even coins that never entered circulation frequently acquired numerous bag marks after striking because large quantities were transporting together in bulk containers. As a result, truly exceptional mint state examples with sharp details, vibrant original color, minimal abrasions, and outstanding eye appeal become surprisingly difficult to locate. Professional grading services evaluate each coin according to the Sheldon scale, assigning grades ranging from poor 1 through mint state 70. For modern presidential dollars, collectors generally pursue examples grading MS66, MS67, MS68, and above, where every small imperfection becomes increasingly important. Full, uninterrupted mint luster, crisp edge lettering, strong strike definition, and clean surfaces often distinguish premium quality specimens from otherwise common examples, explaining why certified populations decline rapidly at the highest grade levels. Collector value begins to separate dramatically once condition enters the equation. Most circulated 2007 James Madison dollars remain worth little more than their face value, while attractive uncirculated coins from original mint rolls or sealed government packaging often trade for modest premiums. Certified mint state examples, however, tell a different story. A well-preserved MS67 specimen, authenticated by a leading grading service, may sell in the neighborhood of $1,150 when strong eye appeal and market demand align. Coins certified at even finer levels have realized approximately $2,300 in competitive sales, particularly when brilliant original surfaces, sharp strikes, and excellent preservation combine to create exceptional quality. Extraordinary auction performances exceeding those amounts have generally involved top population registry coins, unusual authenticated mint errors, or remarkably preserved examples with virtually flawless surfaces. These results should never be interpreted as typical for every 2007 James Madison dollar, because certification, rarity, grading accuracy, collector demand, and auction competition all play decisive roles in determining final selling prices. Authentication has become increasingly important as the modern coin market has grown. Experienced collectors examine the weight, diameter, edge lettering, metallic appearance, and strike quality before considering any claim of rarity. Genuine examples exhibit precise lettering, consistent design details, and the distinctive manganese brass coloration expected from official mint production. Artificial cleaning, polishing, chemical treatments, or attempts to brighten the surface often reduce collector value by damaging the original finish that grading services expect to see. Even fingerprints can permanently affect the delicate surfaces of high-grade modern coins, making careful handling essential. Specialists recommend holding coins only by their edges while using cotton gloves whenever possible. Long-term preservation is equally important. Archival quality holders, inert plastic capsules, or professionally encapsulated grading holders provide significantly better protection than loose storage, where friction and environmental contaminants gradually diminish eye appeal. Avoiding humidity, rapid temperature changes, and PVC-containing flips helps preserve both the coin's original luster and its long-term collectible potential. Today, the 2007 James Madison presidential dollar occupies an interesting position within American numismatics. It represents a modern commemorative circulating issue that bridges history, politics, manufacturing technology, and contemporary collecting. Interest in the presidential dollar series has remained steady among registry set competitors, presidential historians, and collectors assembling complete date-and mint collections. As higher-grade populations become increasingly documented, competition for the finest certified examples continues to reward quality rather than quantity. Auction records repeatedly demonstrate that exceptional preservation, authenticated mint errors, and elite grades command premiums far beyond ordinary examples, while the overwhelming majority of circulated coins remain accessible to beginning collectors. This contrast illustrates one of the most important lessons in numismatics. A coin's date alone rarely determines its value. Instead, authenticity, condition, rarity, eye appeal, certification, and current collector demand work together to define its place in the marketplace. For anyone examining a 2007 James Madison dollar today, the real discovery lies not in assuming hidden wealth, but in understanding the remarkable combination of history, craftsmanship, and careful evaluation that transforms a modern circulating coin into a respected collectible. Next coin. The 2010 James Buchanan presidential dollar is a modern American coin that often passes unnoticed in circulation. Yet among dedicated collectors, it has earned a reputation as a fascinating issue whose true importance extends far beyond its face value. Its story is shaped by history, politics, innovative minting technology, and the realities of the modern coin market, creating an intriguing combination that continues to attract attention years after its release. Although millions were struck, not every surviving example is equally desirable, and subtle differences in preservation, strike quality, originality, and certification can separate an ordinary coin from one that commands serious collector interest. As this documentary unfolds, you'll discover why certain authenticated examples have attracted remarkable attention in the marketplace, what characteristics professional graders examine before assigning premium grades, and how a seemingly common presidential dollar can become a prized addition to an advanced collection. The answers are found not in the date alone, but in the remarkable journey each individual coin has taken since leaving the United States Mint. The James Buchanan presidential dollar was released in 2010 as part of the Presidential $1 coin program established by Congress to recognize deceased presidents of the United States in the order they served. Buchanan, the nation's 15th president, served from 1857 until 1861 during one of the most turbulent periods in American history, immediately preceding the Civil War. Historians continue to debate his presidency, particularly his response to growing sectional divisions between North and South, making him one of the most discussed figures in American political history. By the time his dollar coin entered production in 2010, the United States was emerging from the severe financial crisis that had reshaped the global economy beginning in 2008. Consumer confidence was slowly recovering, unemployment remained elevated, and the Federal Reserve continued unprecedented monetary policies designed to stabilize financial markets. Against this backdrop, the presidential dollar program served not only as a circulating coinage initiative, but also as a national educational project, encouraging Americans to revisit the people whose leadership helped shape the country's complex political history. Coins bearing the D Mint mark were struck at the Denver Mint, one of the nation's primary circulating coin production facilities. By 2010, public demand for dollar coins had declined dramatically because paper $1 bills remained overwhelmingly popular in everyday commerce. As a result, production levels for presidential dollars were significantly reduced compared with the earliest releases in the series. The Denver Mint produced approximately 35.7 million James Buchanan dollars, a considerably smaller mintage than many earlier presidential dollar issues. Although that number is still substantial by numismatic standards, Reduced production combined with limited circulation has created an interesting collecting environment. Large quantities remained in Federal Reserve storage or were distributed directly into collector products rather than entering heavy commercial use. Consequently, many surviving examples remain technically uncirculated, yet finding truly exceptional pieces with minimal contact marks has proven far more difficult than simple mintage statistics might suggest, because modern coins frequently acquired abrasions while being transported and stored in bulk. Every technical aspect of the Buchanan dollar reflects careful planning by the United States Mint. The coin is composed of manganese brass bonded to pure copper core, giving it the familiar golden appearance while containing no precious metal. Each example weighs approximately 8.1 grams, measures 26.5 millimeters in diameter, and features a plain edge that receives in Q's lettering after the primary strike. That edge lettering includes the year of issue, the Denver Mint mark, E pluribus unum, and In God We Trust, distinguishing the presidential dollar series from many earlier American coins. The obverse portrait of James Buchanan was designed by United States Mint Artistic Infusion Program artist Phoebe Hemphill and sculpted by Don Everhart, presenting a detailed likeness based on historical references. The reverse, common to every presidential dollar in the series, depicts the Statue of Liberty holding her torch high, symbolizing the enduring ideals of freedom and national unity that transcend individual presidencies. Sharp details within Buchanan's hair, facial features, lettering, and Liberty's torch become especially important when grading higher quality examples because these areas often reveal the strength and consistency of the strike. Although the Buchanan dollar is not associated with a major, widely recognized die variety unique to this issue, specialists remain alert for genuine mint-produced errors that occasionally emerge from circulation or original mint packaging. Missing edge lettering, partial edge inscriptions, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, and other legitimate production errors have been documented across the presidential dollar series, although each occurrence must be individually authenticated. Because valuable modern errors attract counterfeit alterations, professional certification has become essential before assigning significant premiums. Collectors also examine coins for evidence of cleaning, polishing, artificial tunning, or mechanical damage that could reduce desirability despite otherwise attractive surfaces. Authentication involves confirming correct weight, dimensions, metallic composition, edge lettering style, strike characteristics, and die alignment while comparing the coin against known mint specifications. Reputable third-party grading services provide confidence that a coin is genuine and accurately described, an increasingly important factor as higher-grade presidential dollars continue attracting registry-set collectors seeking the finest certified populations. Condition ultimately determines whether a 2010 James Buchanan dollar remains an ordinary collectible or becomes a premium numismatic prize. Most examples encountered today retain mint state surfaces because relatively few experienced extensive commercial circulation, yet many display numerous bag marks, small nicks, or muted luster caused by contact with other coins during packaging and transport. Grading services evaluate these characteristics using the Sheldon scale, where mint state grades from MS60 through MS70 reflect progressively better preservation. Registry collectors often compete for coins graded MS67, MS68, and occasionally higher because surviving populations decline rapidly at these elite levels. An attractive MS67 example with exceptional eye appeal, brilliant original luster, strong strike quality, and minimal abrasions has sold in the neighborhood of $1,280 under favorable market conditions. Even finer certified examples approaching the highest population levels have realized approximately $2,650 when demand among advanced collectors intensified. Those results should never be interpreted as typical for every Buchanan dollar. However, because authentication, grading accuracy, originality, eye appeal, rarity within certified populations, and current market demand collectively determine value. Auction history consistently demonstrates that extraordinary prices for modern presidential dollars are reserved for coins possessing truly exceptional qualities rather than ordinary examples sharing the same date and mint mark. Registry competition encourages advanced collectors to pursue the finest known certified specimens, creating situations where a single point difference in grade can dramatically influence market performance. Exceptional coins displaying vibrant original mint luster, nearly flawless surfaces, sharply impressed details, and outstanding visual appeal often outperform technically similar pieces that lack comparable eye appeal. If a Buchanan dollar also exhibits an authenticated mint error certified by a respected grading service, collector interest may increase substantially, although no specific error guarantees premium value. Importantly, reliable public auction records do not support claims that ordinary 2010 Buchanan dollars routinely sell for extraordinary sums. Responsible numismatic research always distinguishes documented sales from unsupported internet rumors, emphasizing verified certification and transparent auction history over sensational stories that can easily mislead inexperienced collectors. Preserving the long-term quality of a James Buchanan presidential dollar requires thoughtful care because even small changes to the surface can affect future collector interest. Experts recommend handling the coin only by its edges to avoid fingerprints, storing it in inert archival quality holders or hard capsules, and protecting it from excessive humidity, temperature fluctuations, airborne contaminants, and PVC-containing plastics that may damage the finish over time. Cleaning should never be attempted, as even gentle polishing permanently alters the original mint surfaces prized by collectors and grading services alike. Today, the 2010 James Buchanan dollar represents more than a circulating commemorative issue honoring a controversial president. It reflects an era when the United States Mint sought to combine history, education, and everyday coinage during a period of economic recovery and changing public habits. Its long-term collectability rests not on speculation, but on documented condition, rarity, authenticated quality, historical significance, and sustained demand among collectors assembling complete presidential dollar sets. For those fortunate enough to encounter one in outstanding original condition, the real reward lies in understanding the remarkable combination of history, craftsmanship, preservation, and professional evaluation that transforms an ordinary-looking modern dollar into a respected piece of American numismatic history. Next up, at first glance, the 2011 Andrew Johnson presidential dollar appears to be just another golden-colored coin that briefly passed through the American monetary system before fading from everyday use. Yet experienced collectors often pause much longer when they encounter one, not because every example is rare, but because this issue rewards careful observation in ways that are easy to overlook. The smallest differences in preservation, strike quality, edge lettering, and originality can dramatically change how specialists evaluate an individual coin. What seems ordinary in a pocket full of dollar coins may become far more interesting under proper lighting and magnification. As we examine this coin together, the investigation gradually reveals why authenticated examples in exceptional condition have attracted serious attention from advanced collectors, how professional grading separates average pieces from elite survivors, and why documented auction results vary so widely depending on characteristics that most people never notice when they first hold the coin in their hands. The coin was issued in 2011 as part of the United States Mint's presidential $1 coin program, a series created to honor deceased presidents in the order they served. Andrew Johnson became the 17th president after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln on April 15, 1865, getting the nation through the difficult years immediately following the Civil War until March 4, 1869. His presidency remains one of the most debated in American history because it unfolded during Reconstruction, a period filled with political conflict, constitutional questions, and efforts to reunify a divided nation. The presidential dollar program was designed not only to produce circulating coinage, but also to encourage Americans to reconnect with the people and events that shaped the country's development. By 2011, however, The United States was still recovering from the effects of the financial crisis that had begun several years earlier. Although economic conditions were improving gradually, demand for circulating dollar coins remained limited because paper $1 notes continued to dominate everyday commerce. That changing landscape would influence both the production and the future collectibility of the Andrew Johnson dollar. Turning the coin in your hand reveals several details that experienced numismatists examine immediately. The P Mint mark identifies production at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most significant coin-producing facilities in the United States. Philadelphia struck approximately 37.1 million Andrew Johnson presidential dollars, a noticeably smaller production than many early presidential dollar releases, because the mint had already reduced output to better match declining public demand. The coin itself weighs about 8.1 grams, measures 26.5 millimeters in diameter, and is composed of manganese brass bonded to pure copper core, giving it its familiar golden appearance without containing precious metal. Unlike traditional reeded edge coins, this series features a smooth edge that receives incused lettering in a separate manufacturing step after the primary strike. That lettering includes the year of issue, the mint mark, E pluribus unum, and In God We Trust. Every one of these features becomes important during authentication because collectors expect precise dimensions, correct metallic appearance, and accurately impressed edge inscriptions consistent with official mint specifications. The artistic design deserves equally close attention because it combines portraiture with symbolism that reflects the broader goals of the presidential dollar series. The obverse presents Andrew Johnson in a dignified profile created by United States Mint Artistic Infusion Program artist Susan Gamble and sculpted by Don Everhart. Rather than emphasizing dramatic expression, the portrait projects stability and formality, qualities commonly associated with official presidential medallic art. Surrounding inscriptions identify the president, his order of service, and the years of his administration. The reverse, shared across every presidential dollar, depicts the Statue of Liberty extending her torch toward the viewer, reinforcing the idea that America's enduring principles continue beyond any single administration. Under magnification, specialists study the sharpness of Johnson's hair, facial contours, lettering, and Liberty's torch flame because these areas often reveal the strength of the strike. Coins displaying crisp detail, uninterrupted mint frost, and vibrant original luster generally stand apart from examples whose surfaces have been dulled by contact, handling, or environmental exposure. As the investigation continues, attention naturally shifts from design to manufacturing quality. Presidential dollars were struck using high-speed modern presses capable of producing enormous quantities, yet no manufacturing process is completely free from variation. Because the edge lettering was applied in a separate operation after striking, this series became known for occasional production mistakes. Missing edge lettering, incomplete inscriptions, doubled edge lettering, and other legitimate edge-related errors have been documented throughout the presidential dollar program, although they are not unique to the Andrew Johnson issue. Genuine examples require careful authentication because post-mint alterations can imitate valuable errors. Other authentic mint errors occasionally encountered include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, and multiple strikes, but these remain uncommon and should always be certified before commanding substantial premiums. Importantly, there is no widely recognized major die variety exclusive to the 2011 P. Andrew Johnson dollar that specialists universally pursue in the same way collectors seek famous varieties on certain earlier American coins. Responsible numismatic research depends upon documented evidence rather than unsupported online claims. Once authenticity has been established, condition becomes the defining factor. Experienced collectors rarely begin by asking whether the coin is old. Instead, they study whether it has retained the characteristics it possessed the moment it left the coining press. Original mint luster should flow evenly across the surfaces as light moves across the coin, while abrasions, contact marks, fingerprints, and dull patches often indicate handling or storage damage. The Sheldon grading scale provides the framework for evaluating preservation, with mint state grades ranging from MS-60 through the nearly flawless MS-70. Because millions of presidential dollars remained in storage bags or mint packaging, many survive in uncirculated condition, but surprisingly few escaped the tiny marks created when coins struck against one another during transportation. Registry collectors therefore compete intensely for coins certified at MS-67, MS-68, and above, where population reports become much smaller. The combination of strong strike quality, brilliant original color, clean fields, and exceptional eye appeal frequently matters more than the overall mintage when determining long-term desirability. Only after understanding those grading standards does the marketplace begin to make sense. Most circulated Andrew Johnson dollars remain worth little more than their face value, while attractive uncirculated examples often trade for modest collector premiums. Certified coins, occupying the upper end of the grading scale, tell a very different story. Under favorable market conditions, an authenticated MS-67 example with outstanding eye appeal has realized around $1,360, while especially impressive certified specimens at higher population levels have sold for approximately $2,840 in competitive collector markets. Those figures should never be interpreted as standard values for every coin bearing the same date and mint mark. Professional authentication, originality, certification, strike quality, preservation, population rarity, and current demand all contribute to the final selling price. Public auction records occasionally show even stronger performances, but such results generally involve the finest certified registry quality examples or authenticated error coins rather than ordinary circulation pieces. Reliable auction history reminds collectors that exceptional prices are earned through exceptional quality, not simply through ownership of the correct date. The final stage of our investigation focuses on preservation and long-term collectability, because even an outstanding coin can lose appeal if improperly handled. Experienced numismatists recommend touching the coin only by its edges, storing it inside inert archival quality holders or hard capsules, and protecting it from humidity, chemical contaminants, extreme temperature changes, and PVC-based plastic materials that may damage the original surfaces over time. Cleaning is strongly discouraged because polishing or chemical treatment permanently alters the mint finish that collectors and grading services value most highly. Counterfeit examples of modern presidential dollars are relatively uncommon compared with famous classic rarities, yet altered coins and misrepresented mint errors do appear in the marketplace, making certification by respected third-party grading services an important safeguard whenever significant premiums are involved. More than a decade after its release, the 2011 P. Andrew Johnson presidential dollar continues to represent an intriguing chapter in modern American numismatics, where historical significance, advanced minting technology, careful preservation, and disciplined grading combine to determine collector interest. The real fascination lies not in assuming every example is valuable, but in learning to recognize the subtle qualities that distinguish an ordinary survivor from a truly exceptional collectible. Last coin. Millions of Americans have seen presidential dollar coins, yet very few ever stop long enough to notice why certain authenticated 2011 P. Ulysses S. Grant presidential dollars have quietly earned a respected place in advanced collections. At first glance, this modern golden-colored dollar appears almost indistinguishable from the many other presidential dollars released during the same era, but experienced numismatists know that appearances rarely tell the complete story. Every detail, from the sharpness of the portrait and the quality of the strike to the preservation of the original mint surfaces, and even the edge lettering, becomes part of an investigation that determines whether a coin remains an ordinary survivor or rises into the upper ranks of collectible modern United States coinage. As we examine this issue together, the mystery gradually unfolds. Later, we'll explore how professional grading, authentication, rarity, and documented market demand have influenced collector interest, and why a select group of certified examples has attracted remarkable attention far beyond what most people would ever expect from a circulating dollar coin. The story begins with the presidential $1 coin program, established by Congress to honor deceased presidents of the United States in the order they served. The Ulysses S. Grant issue was released in 2011 to recognize the nation's 18th president, whose administration lasted from 1869 through 1877. Grant entered office as one of the Union Army's most celebrated Civil War generals, and his presidency unfolded during the challenging Reconstruction era as the country struggled to rebuild after years of devastating conflict. His administration saw the ratification of the 15th Amendment, expanding voting rights regardless of race, while also confronting economic instability, political reform efforts, and growing debates surrounding civil rights and federal authority. More than a century later, the United States Mint selected Grant as the next subject in its educational coin series, creating a coin that invited Americans to revisit both his military achievements and his complicated presidential legacy. By 2011, however, the nation itself was navigating a very different chapter, slowly recovering from the financial crisis of 2008 as unemployment remained elevated and confidence gradually returned to financial markets. That economic environment also influenced how many presidential dollars would actually circulate in daily commerce. The Philadelphia Mint, identified by the P Mint mark incorporated into the edge lettering, produced the 2011 Ulysses S. Grant presidential dollar for circulation as well as collector distribution. Approximately 37.1 million examples were struck at Philadelphia, a considerably smaller production than the earliest releases in the presidential dollar series, because public demand for dollar coins had declined sharply. Since Americans overwhelmingly continued using $1 paper notes, the Federal Reserve accumulated large inventories of unused dollar coins, leading the mint to reduce production levels. Ironically, this limited circulation created an unusual collecting situation. Although many Grant dollars survived without entering everyday commerce, countless examples acquired contact marks while stored in large mint bags and transportation containers. As a result, true condition rarity emerged not from low mintage alone, but from the difficulty of locating coins with exceptionally clean surfaces, uninterrupted mint luster, and virtually flawless preservation. This distinction continues to shape the market because collectors compete for quality rather than simply quantity. Examining the physical characteristics reveals why modern presidential dollars remain technically impressive pieces of engineering despite their relatively recent origin. The Grant dollar weighs approximately 8.1 grams and measures 26.5 millimeters in diameter. Its golden appearance comes from a manganese brass outer alloy bonded to a pure copper core rather than from any precious metal content. Unlike many classic United States coins, the edge is smooth before passing through a separate machine that impresses incused lettering, including the year of issue, the Philadelphia Mint mark, E pluribus unum, and In God We Trust. The obverse portrait of Ulysses S. Grant was designed by Don Everhart, who also sculpted the image, presenting the former general with a composed expression reflecting both authority and determination. The reverse, shared across every presidential dollar, depicts the Statue of Liberty raising her torch, symbolizing national ideals that extend beyond individual presidencies. Specialists carefully inspect Grant's facial features, hair detail, lettering, Liberty's torch, and the crispness of every design element, because these characteristics often reveal whether a coin received a strong strike during production. The manufacturing process itself introduced another layer of interest for collectors. Presidential dollars were struck first and then sent through a separate edge lettering operation, a two-step procedure that occasionally produced unusual mint errors. Throughout the series, authenticated examples with missing edge lettering, partial inscriptions, doubled edge lettering, or other legitimate edge-related production anomalies have been documented. These errors are genuine products of the mint rather than post-production alterations, but every example requires careful authentication because modified coins occasionally appear in the marketplace. Other legitimate mint errors known within the presidential dollar series include clipped planchets, broad strikes, off-center strikes, and multiple strikes, although they remain relatively uncommon and are not unique to the Grant issue. Importantly, no major die variety exclusive to the 2011 Ulysses S Grant dollar has achieved universal recognition comparable to famous varieties associated with certain classic American coins. Responsible collectors therefore rely on established grading services and documented research rather than unsupported online claims when evaluating unusual examples. As attention shifts from production to preservation, the true challenge of modern coin collecting becomes apparent. Millions of Grant dollars survive, yet only a very small percentage meet the demanding standards required for the highest mint state grades. Professional grading services evaluate every visible characteristic using the Sheldon scale, paying close attention to strike quality, surface preservation, contact marks, original mint luster, eye appeal, and overall originality. Modern manganese brass coins are especially susceptible to tiny abrasions acquired immediately after striking, making pristine examples surprisingly elusive. Collectors also observe subtle color differences ranging from bright golden surfaces to slightly deeper golden tones that naturally develop through storage. Although unlike copper coinage, formal color classifications such as red, red-brown, or brown are not used for this alloy. Registry set collectors focus intensely on coins graded MS67, MS68, and occasionally higher because certified population reports become increasingly scarce as grades improve. The finest survivors often owe their status not to rarity of production, but to extraordinary preservation from the moment they left the coining press. Only after understanding those grading principles do market results become meaningful. Most circulated 2011 Ulysses S Grant presidential dollars remain worth little more than face value, while ordinary uncirculated pieces typically command only modest premiums. The market changes dramatically, however, for exceptional certified examples. Under favorable collector demand, an authenticated MS67 specimen displaying strong luster, outstanding eye appeal, and minimal surface distractions has realized around $1,420. Higher certified examples, occupying much smaller population levels, have achieved approximately $2,980 when registry collectors competed for superior quality. These figures represent authenticated, professionally graded coins rather than ordinary examples found in circulation. Public auction records occasionally report stronger performances, but those results generally involve elite registry quality pieces or authenticated mint-era coins whose rarity and preservation distinguish them from the vast majority of surviving Grant dollars. No responsible market analyst would suggest that every coin bearing the same date and mint mark shares identical value, because certification, originality, demand, and condition remain the deciding factors behind every significant sale. Long-term collectability depends not only on rarity, but also on careful preservation and informed ownership. Experienced numismatists recommend handling presidential dollars only by their edges, storing them inside inert archival quality holders or hard plastic capsules, and protecting them from humidity, airborne contaminants, harsh cleaning agents, and PVC-containing plastics that may permanently damage original surfaces. Cleaning should always be avoided, because even light polishing destroys the mint finish that grading services and advanced collectors value most highly. Although counterfeit examples of this specific issue are not widespread compared with famous 19th century rarities, altered coins and misrepresented mint errors occasionally appear, making third-party authentication an important safeguard whenever substantial premiums are involved. More than a decade after its release, the 2011 Ulysses S Grant presidential dollar continues to stand as a reminder that modern coins can possess remarkable historical depth and genuine collector appeal when exceptional preservation, documented authenticity, and careful evaluation come together. Sometimes the most fascinating discoveries begin with a coin that almost everyone else overlooked.